Hello everyone and welcome back to Blue Box. This is episode 17 and this is the first of 3 videos that I'm posting today and recording today. I'm posting all of these videos on the same day within hours of me recording them, so I'm getting them up as soon as possible essentially. So because of that, I'm going to be recording videos back to back to back. This is the first one in the marathon of 3 videos. So by the time I'm doing the Dr. Stone video, I feel like I'm going to be exhausted. but we're going to do it. We're going to get through it. This is the start of it. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be like an athlete, you know when an athlete has to hit their prime, when their like mental acuity matches up with their like physical their physical strength, so like they reach the peak of both of those times and it's like the middle of their career. I think the Ave Mujika video is going to be like the peak of my video thing, and then it's going to go downhill in the like last half of the Ave Mujika video. But yeah, anyway, Blue Box episode 17. I'm excited to jump into this. I think the last thing that happened was Chinatsu was doing some photocopying, and then Hina came in and went, oh, by the way, I admitted that I liked Taiki to Taiki, just so you know. And so now, are we going to continue with that conversation? I don't know. Let's just jump into it. Make sure to support the video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. Here we go. Blue Box, episode 17. Let's do it. Picking up right from the awkward silence. Oh, cute. Yeah, right now. I forgot about that. I like that these two are just so nice to each other. Like, you're both wonderful people. There's no reason to be, like, bitchy to each other, and they're not. They're just great. That expression. It's a lot to think about. It's a lot to take in. Yeah, I think this OP has grown on me enough. I like it now. Took me a while, because the first OP is so good. This part of the OP is so cute. I love it. Of course I want to see it. See what? Who wants to see what? It sometimes doesn't feel like you're improving. But you are. This is such a frustrating time in improving at something, where you can't feel your own improvements. Aww, I like that he's noticing Taiki being caught up. She's like jogging to catch up with him. Yeah, but not if you're talking at the same time. Squeeing over you. Aww. She's so cute. Damn, man. Working hard. Oh. Oh, shit. Careful. This show's so good looking. I forget sometimes how good looking it is. I'm getting too used to it. Well, she wants to. He's trying to downplay it a lot. Wasn't she already wearing those sneakers outside? Did she take them off and is now putting them back on? It's useful when you have one girl that likes you and tells you that. Aw, so you can see the behavior of another girl and see if she likes you. Not that it's going to be the same for every person. Because what Chinatsu just said and did, that could have just been what your friend would do. But in this case, probably not. She's got good stamina. All the other girls were like fucking exhausted, all on the ground. That's something I'm terrible with. I've got terrible stamina. I need to get it up. He's been practicing a fuck ton. This is a punishment. Ah, that sucks. Yeah, he doesn't need to be humbled right now. He's already plenty humble. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it a real apple? Obviously, it wouldn't be edible because they painted it. But is it a real apple under there? Or is it just a prop? Oh my god. She's dead! Problem solved in the series! She's thinking about it way more than a lot of high schoolers think about their plays. Yeah, of course. Oh my god. Yeah? Look at him like you would look at Taiki. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people, especially in high school, they just learn their lines and that's it. Yeah, that's true. But you're already doing that with your gymnastics. So Hina's having to do it double. And then she's also doing that with her love life? It's crazy. Sometimes if you're struggling to act a line, don't act. Just say the line. Kiss her, man. No, don't. Oh my god. Huh? You're hopeless. God damn, man. Hey, that's a good response, genuinely. Just being honest with her. It did. Yeah, everyone's having to like just recover from a lot of these conversations. It changed up your dynamic a lot. Makes sense. You gotta get some confidence back. It is like you don't have confidence. You don't have any confidence right now. Oh, she's so cute. Oh, I love that. Yeah, you think you're a coward because you don't have any confidence in yourself, man. Yep. Inamata-kun. I like how she acts like she's a bit less familiar with him. That's true. That's true, and you're relating this to Hina as well. Yep, keep yourself hydrated, girl. Oh, love that line. Standing still hurts the most. Yeah. You don't need it. Wait, no, well, Karen will. You've got your support from Karen. And she's hydrating herself. This is good. Metaphors. Some good metaphors going on right now. And now he's gonna hydrate himself. Oh no, he's gonna hydrate Taiki. That's nice. Someone else is already hydrating Taiki. He's like giving up. He like listened to the Chinatsu speech. He was inspired by it, went over there and was like, you know what, no, fuck this guy. Yeah, you're not making a decision on it. Is that Yusa? Who is that? Yeah. Oh! Alright, another great episode. This series is so good, man. This series is so good. And, like, let me tell you, it only gets better. Like, this series, I don't think there's any point in this series, from, you know, me reading it, that I was like, oh, this part is okay. You know, like, I think it genuinely just was like, oh my god, this is just getting better and better and better. And, like, the current stuff that's happening in the manga with Blue Box is, like, my favorite stuff in the entire series so far, I think. Where every time I read a new chapter, it's so exciting. But yeah, like, man, this episode's so good. I mean, it's like, this is a tough time, I think, and it's like, this is a tough time to, like, with a lot of rough things going on, and as an audience, we can get, like, scared or sad or upset at how things are going, because, like, it feels like they're caught in a limbo. But that's very much the intention, you know? Like, there's a difference, I think, between having a series that's perpetually in limbo to, you know, fuck with the audience and to, like, keep stretching things out so that you can keep your series going. Stuff like Rent-A-Girlfriend, you know? That's the biggest example of it that people have, is where, like, there's never any progress made within that series. Although, to be fair, I haven't watched, like, the latest Rent-A-Girlfriend stuff, but I know the reputation of Rent-A-Girlfriend. Like, I know that it's always stuck in this same position. So, you know, you can have stuff like that, but then there's when characters being stuck in limbo is a part of the plot, and it's something that, like, they're addressing, and the characters in this, they know they're stuck in limbo, and they're trying to fix that, and so they're all making moves, but they're all, you know, it's moves that, like, is particularly playing on the fact that they don't know what they're doing or where they're going from here and where it's going to go. And that's very difficult, but that's what happens in real life. And I love the way that Miura, I believe, is the writer of the series. I love the way that she writes this in relation to sports and improving in sports, because it is actually a really good comparison. And I feel like it's really impressive. I don't know if this is one of those things that Miura, like, had planned when she had Taiki lose to Yusa, and then she was like, oh, I can plan it so that this happens, and then that intersects with when the Hina storyline is coming, and so then we can have, like, a metaphor there. Or if it's like, she was doing the thing with Yusa, and then she was also doing the thing with Hina, and then at some point she was like, oh, you know what, these two things, I can make them relate together very nicely, and then she did it, you know? Like, I feel like the latter is, I mean, both of them are impressive. It's not like either one of them is like, well, that one's bad writing or that one's good writing. They're both impressive to be able to like make that link. But it's probably harder. Oh, actually, I don't know. I guess they both have equal difficulty. One is difficult because you have to plan super far ahead of time, and be able to see like the bigger picture like that. And the second one is hard because you have to notice those links and then draw upon them. But I think it's really nice, like, drawing these links between Taiki feeling like he's not able to move forward in his sport because he's comparing himself to Yusa, and is going like, well, if I'm not better than Yusa, I haven't gotten better. And that's a really difficult thing to figure out. And he also doesn't know if he's gotten better than Yusa unless it's by a lot. So like, it's like if Yusa's skill level is here, and Taiki is currently, you know, or when they were fighting, Taiki was here fighting, you know what I mean? Then like Taiki wants to go here, but he won't notice that he's there until he's there, you know? And that's really, really difficult. Because, you know, theoretically, Yusa's also getting better. So even if they play again right now and Taiki loses again, it might not be, like, Taiki might still have improved to better than Yusa was, but Yusa's just gotten a bit better. Or, you know, it's sport. Sometimes the less talented player wins, because sport is variable like that. That's why we fucking watch it. We don't, like, the fun thing about sport is the fact that anyone can make an upset at any time, you know? And you can go, well, this person has a 90% chance of winning, but you don't ever know who's going to win. And that's why betting is a thing. That's why it's interesting. So like, Taiki's, you know, beating himself up a lot about that. But then you compare it to Chinatsu, who, like, maybe feels like she isn't making progress because she sees that Hina's making progress. That Hina's actually, like, admitted her feelings to Taiki, and is even like asking for kisses and stuff now. But what Chinatsu maybe isn't thinking about or isn't seeing right now is, like, yeah, she's admitted her love and Hina's still not making progress, you know? Like, that's a really difficult thing too. And that's what Hina's probably thinking about, is like, I've done what I can do. I've told him how I feel, and I've even told Chinatsu that I told him how I feel, and now still nothing's happening. Like, I even, like, hinted that maybe we should kiss, and Taiki flat out said no. Like, I don't want to do that. And so, like, she's also in a tough spot, because she's like, well, now I'm in limbo. I'm stuck because I've told him how I feel, and now it's up to him whether or not anything's gonna happen. But since he's not right away reciprocating this, and he's like turning down these chances, it's a pretty good chance that nothing's gonna happen. So they're all in tough positions right now, where none of them know where to go. And I think this is just really elegantly written. And like, people have problems with, like, honestly, if I was to feel bad for any sorts of protagonists in stories, right? Like, you know, you'll have stories where protagonists have gone through a lot of hardships or whatever, but I feel bad for romance protagonists because they are treated like the biggest idiots for doing the most normal shit, you know? Like, people might watch Light from Death Note and go like, oh, this guy's a fucking genius, like he's working on another level, this is incredible, he's so smart. People, you know, look at Deku from My Hero Academia and they're like, oh my gosh, people will say like, oh, he's a crybaby, but people will also say like, oh, he's working really hard and he's gonna be so strong, and like, I love the way that he's so positive and he talks to people and stuff. When you're a romance protagonist, people are like, you're fucking stupid for not going after the woman that you love. And that's all people ever fucking think of you a lot of the time. And it's not fair, because it's not ever as simple as that. Now, as I've said, some series will be particularly egregious with it. And and you can use examples of romances that aren't quite as nicely written, but like a lot of the time it's like the viewers just have an omniscient perspective on things, and they expect all the characters to have the same. Like, I mean, we as viewers, we have mostly an omniscient perspective on this story, but actually what I quite like is, at least right now, we still don't get much of Chinatsu's inner thoughts. We can read into it, and we can read what we want to read, but for the most part, she's not saying how she feels about Taiki or thinking about it in ways that we can hear. We're just looking at her expressions and going like, oh, she's probably feeling this. But you can read into things however you want. And also, like, this is a romance show, so we're expecting people to have certain feelings, but we just straight up don't ever know. And that's like, I think what makes this so difficult. You don't know what other people are thinking. I've had people in my life who I've thought didn't like me, and I found out later they really liked me, or I thought, we were very close, and turns out they didn't. Like, it's difficult. You can't always read people. I would say sometimes there are people in my life that I don't like, that I don't think they can read that I don't like them, because I tend to try not to be dicks to people. I try not to be rude to people. And maybe there's people who I really like, but they can't tell that I like them because I don't know, play it too cool. Or I'm like, you know what? That person's too cool. Well, I'm just going to kind of keep my distance from them because I don't want to be weird and then like have them like me less. So yeah, that's the difficult part about the world, and that's why romance protagonists have it really hard, because viewers never give them credit. I think all the people in this series are doing extremely reasonable things, and they're having very reasonable reactions to situations and very reasonable thoughts. And I'm not to say they're not making mistakes. Sure they are, Like, I feel like Hina, maybe saying the whole, like, do you want to kiss thing, maybe that's too much, Like, they're in this situation. She knows how he feels about Chinatsu. He's obviously still thinking about it. Like, it's not like he hasn't thought about them being in a relationship or whatever. And so for her to say that, maybe it's a bit too forward at that point. You're kind of like pushing him in a way that makes it feel like you're crowding him a little bit. You're rushing him for a decision that you said you would wait for. Of course, you can make those sorts of claims, and I think maybe that's probably true. That Hina, it probably shouldn't have done that in that situation. But she's a girl in love. Like, it's you say dumb stuff sometimes, and I feel like after it happened, she kind of regretted it a little bit. Because, like, she immediately sat up when he said no and went, like, yeah, of course, I'm just kidding, Like, I think she immediately was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It happens. And there's if none of these characters ever made mistakes, it wouldn't be realistic. So I like that there's little tiny mistakes there, but yeah, I mean, overall, I'm always just so impressed by how this show and these characters are written. But what also I'm impressed with is Hina, like, and her focusing on, like, okay, my character is waking up from this sleep or whatever, and there's a guy, like, what should I look like? How should I feel? And that, like, this girl works hard. If you couldn't already tell she works hard, that's crazy. Because she's already working hard at being one of the best gymnasts in Japan, like, at her level, right? Which is fucking insane. She was, like, what, third in the last competition or some shit? Like, fucking incredible. And then on top of that, she's working hard at her love life. She admitted her love to a boy that she spends time with constantly, knowing that he liked another girl, brave as shit, and is still making an effort not to avoid him and to, like, you know, keep staying near him and supporting him despite all of this. That's incredible, and that would take a lot of energy, and that takes a lot of bravery. And then on top of that, she's doing this acting as a lead role in a play and is, like, focusing on every line and really trying to make it good. Like, it's so honorable. She's such an honorable character. Because, I mean, like, if you don't know, I did acting classes all throughout high school and after high school, and I was represented by an acting agent at some point. So I've done auditions and plays and short films and all that. So, you know, I've done some acting. When I was in high school, I was the lead role in a lot of our school musicals and stuff. I definitely, like, you know, I definitely took it seriously, for sure. And I definitely thought about my character. But, like, I think in a situation like that, like, my expression in certain scenes, even I wasn't even thinking about that for my high school musicals. In short films and plays and stuff that I did after high school, when I was taking acting even more seriously, sure, yeah, I think about stuff like that, and that's, you know, something important to think about. But in that, like, in that sort of setting, no, because it's like a high school play. Like, yeah, do your best, work hard at it, memorize all your lines, like, try to... What's most important in acting that early isn't, especially theater acting, isn't really your facial expressions. It's actually your delivery of lines, I would say. That's what's gonna get the either the biggest laughs or the most emotion out of people or whatever. If you deliver lines in a weird way, people may not understand it, or they may not get your intentions. If you deliver lines in the perfect way, people remember it. So I mean, there were certain characters that I played where, I remember there was this one character in high school, where a student got a role of this character that was supposed to be a very apologetic, freaking out kind of character. And the way, from memory, that he did it was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. May heaven strike me down, may vultures peck out my eyes. Like, and he was just doing it, like, in a very, like, genuine, oops, I'm sorry kind of way, right? That student wasn't able to do that part anymore because something came up, right? And so that part was given to me, and I was, like, only new to the musical. I was like a year 9 student. I was very new to the musical, and I was given that role, and I performed it. You know, I was still a kid, so it wasn't an amazing performance, but what mattered was I put energy into it, and I went like, oh, I'm so sorry, may heaven strike me down, may the vultures peck out my eyes, and, like, I would be, like, so distraught about it, and, like, and what it does, you know, like, it didn't need to necessarily be an amazing performance. My expressions weren't great, but it gives this sort of energy and this, like, difference to the character that makes people remember that sort of character more, especially in a high school play. So if you're doing professional acting in a professional environment, less is more a lot of the time. If you're doing theater performance and when you're younger and you don't have as many refined talents, more is more. A lot of the time, if you give it more, it's gonna sound more like you know what you're doing than if you're just delivering the lines like, I'm so sorry, may heaven strike me down, may vultures peck out my eyes, you know, because if you do that, people are not gonna remember it at all. But people gave me a lot of compliments when I was young for that, and because of that, I got cast in the lead in all musicals after that. And the musical director loved me, I think, and loved working with me. So So yeah, that it's like acting is complicated, but in high school it really doesn't need to be. Hina's making it more complicated than it needs to be, but she's doing it because she works hard and it's great. But really, if I had to give her advice, I would say, like, a lot of the time, if you're really struggling with a scene like that, like people say a lot, just don't act. And like a lot of professional drama instructors will say, hey, this is at least a good starting point. Just try it without acting. And that doesn't mean just like say the line flat, you know, like if it was like, oh, Prince, you've awoken me from my slumber. Don't just go like, oh, Prince, you've awoken me from my slumber. Like that's bad, you know. But if you like wake up, just like instead of like, here's a way you could do it, right? You wake up with wonder, let's say. So you wake up and go, okay, you could do something like that. But if you want to just try out, you know, I don't know what emotion I'm supposed to give it, then just like that, honestly, people I think would be able to read into your expression. And then if you just say to him like, Prince, you've awoken me from my slumber, like you can read into that. And that's the thing. When you take away emotion from it, people try to figure out what the emotion is. Chinatsu's a perfect example. Chinatsu's not a very emotive person, but we can look at her and say, like, she's thinking about Taiki right now. She's, like, upset about... Like, think about when Hina told her, I told Taiki I liked him, and then left the room. What did she do? Continued copying, and she went like that. And that's all she did. But we, as viewers, were like, oh, she's upset, she's freaking out, she's thinking about Taiki, she's whatever, right? But she wasn't doing anything. She was doing what a normal girl would do while waiting for a copier machine to be done. She was doing this. But, like, if you... But that's what acting is. That's what expressions are. Like, the audience will try to figure out what every expression means, even if there's no expression there. So my advice to Hina would be, don't do an expression, at least to start with, and see how it feels, you know? Do it without an expression, and maybe while doing that, you'll go like, no, I think it feels weird without putting a little bewilderment in it. And then she'd put a bit of bewilderment in it, and she'd be able to find that balance that she needs to find in there. But yeah, anyway, that is Blue Box, episode 17. Thank you for joining me. Make sure to support this video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And go to my Patreon account for full-length early access and exclusive videos. I will see you next time. Goodbye.